Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte. We're continuing our lineup prediction series, going up north of the border today in the Eastern Conference as we take a look at your Ottawa Senators. So the Ottawa Senators didn't make a ton of moves this offseason, but this is a team that, as their prospects continue to develop, we're going to see internal growth from the Ottawa Senators team this year, and we're going to take a look at some of those guys today. So looking at their forward lines, looking in their top six in particular, you got Brady Tkachuk, barring that he signs, Josh Norris, and Tim Stutzle. Now, some people could argue that Batherson should be on that top line over Stutzle. I'd like to see Stutzle play more. I think he had a good season last year. I think that this is a guy that, again, maybe in training camp, there's some, good competition for that spot. But I think at the end of the day, Stutzle, with his skill, with his confidence from last year, is going to continue. I want to see him on that top line. Look at the second line. You got Drake Batherson, Colin White, and Connor Brown. Now, Connor Brown is a guy that I want to see continue to thrive in Ottawa. He had a really good first season in Ottawa, and he had a pretty good season last year. I want to see that continue. You also have, again, Drake Batherson we talked about. Colin White, this is kind of a gritty, tough to play against second line, and they can score goals. There may be some reason to argue that Stutzle maybe should be on that second line just to add some more scoring from the point, which I don't know if you're going to get from Batherson and White and Brown as much, but I do really like that line. I think, like I said, a tough line to play against. That's their fourth line playing on the second line. Now, looking at your third line, you got Nick Paul, Shane Pinto, we're talking about some of those young guys, and Cole Sherwood. I really like that third line overall. Definitely some optimism there as you're seeing guys like Pinto jump into the lineup. I really like that third line. And the fourth line, again, you do have kind of a fourth line here as well. You have Alex Formenton, another young guy, Chris Tierney, and Austin Watson, who he's had a crazy situation over the past couple years. He seems to be overcoming that. He is back in the NHL. Really excited to see Austin Watson. And playing with a guy like Alex Formenton, two pretty rugged players, I really do like that fourth line. And we're not done yet. I think some of the depth guys could definitely make an argument in specifically that bottom six to maybe get in the lineup. Guys like Ridley Gregg, who was their first round pick in the 2020 NHL draft. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about him maybe jumping into the lineup. You also have Pontus Aberg, another Nashville former player. I want to see him get into the lineup. And again, just some scoring depth. That's really what a guy like Aberg is. And Ridley Gregg, again, a guy that was very, a lot was said about him at that draft in 2020. So I think the Senators are hoping for a grinder, power forward guy. He seems pretty mature for his age, so we'll see what happens there. Now, looking at your defense, it's a little bit past the first pairing. It does get a little bit hairy. You got Thomas Chabot and Nikita Zaitsev. I don't think that's going to change. It worked pretty well last season. I think we're going to see that continue this year. The second pairing, you have newly acquired Nick Holden along with Eric Brandstrom. I know Brandstrom had a rough season last year. It definitely wasn't his best season, but I expect him to maybe, I'm hoping for the best here. I think he's going to do really well in training camp, really make a name for himself, and really put his name on the map. I think he could beat out a guy like Artem Zub on that second pair, who, in his own right, Zub had a really good season last year. Now, the third pair, you got Michael Del Zotto and Artem Zub. I think Del Zotto, a journeyman at this point. He's been all over the place in the NHL. Good-looking dude as well, so a pretty good third pairing there. And you also have Artem Zub, who, like I said, he had a good season last year, so expecting good stuff there. You also have some depth defensemen that I think there's more to this list than what I'm going to mention here, but you have Victor Mete and Josh Brown as really the legitimate guys to jump in there. But there's going to be other young prospects that they've been drafting, like Jake Sanderson, who are definitely going to put themselves in the conversation. I would love to see Jake Sanderson jump into that top six. But I think another year, probably in, where do they play now? I'm trying to remember. Where is the Senators? Oh, it's in Belleville. In Belleville, I'd like to see him develop at the very least, another half season. If he comes up in December, maybe January, as a call-up due to injuries, I'd love to see him jump into the lineup. But to force-fit him in right now, again, especially with defensemen, you really want them to develop. And you want to prevent any bad habits from coming along. I think that's really important here with a guy like Jake Sanderson. Now looking at goaltending, a lot of people would say this isn't the best goaltending, and if you ask Pierre Dorian this summer, they were okay with letting Joey Daccord go to Seattle because they're so deep in between the pipes, and I don't know about that. So you got Matt Murray and Anton Forsberg. Murray can't have any worse of a season than he did last year, so I'm really expecting him to get better. And Anton Forsberg, who we've seen around the league a little bit, obviously you're hoping for some good stuff from him as well. But there is some concern about, is there a reliable goaltender there? Because Matt Murray was supposed to be that guy. And it just doesn't look like that's what we've seen so far. It's just a goaltender that very inconsistent and kind of seems like he's in his own head. So I hope this long summer this year gave him an opportunity to maybe reflect, see what he has to work on, maybe do a little bit of self-reflecting and be that starting goaltender that the Senators desperately need right now. I think it's very important for him to really take that step. I don't want to say that next step because he's been there before. It's just getting back to that form, and I think that's very important. With that said, just the overall look of this team, they do lack some depth. I think that's something that's pretty apparent. I do like Stutzle, I like Norris, Tkachuk, White, Batherson, but then when you start to get to guys like Nick Paul on the third line, even Connor Brown, again, I like him as a player, but is he a second-line winger on a playoff team, especially in that division? And I think there's just some holes on this team, even on the blue line, guys like Nick Holden and Michael Delzato. You could tell that they're just fill-in guys till the Brandstroms and the Jake Sandersons develop. They're kind of placeholder guys, and that is pretty apparent on this team. And I'd love to see this team get into the playoffs. I really would, but I just think there's too many good teams in that Atlantic Division. I mean, you can almost guarantee Tampa and Florida, the Sunshine State teams, they're in. And I didn't even talk about Toronto, Boston. You're going to see those teams come back, and I don't see where there's a spot here for Ottawa to get in. And Montreal, I didn't even mention Montreal. They just went to the Stanley Cup final here in 2021. So you're asking for a lot from the Senators. I think it's another year of, continuing to move forward. I think what Dorian has said this offseason, that why can't we be a playoff team? Again, you're kind of pulling for scraps there, and I think you're setting the expectations maybe a little too high. I know Eugene Melnyk wants to win a cup in the next 4 years. You're asking for a lot this season. So with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. There isn't a lot of questions with this team, but really I think the main one is looking at defense. Could we see Jake Sanderson make that top 6 starting blue line going into the opening night roster here this season? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, as always, make sure to check out our Streamlabs shop in the description down below. Pick up some Goal Line Hockey swag, maybe pick up some merch to help support the channel. Make sure to check that out down below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you again next time.